Hi guys, I hope you're good since last video. We have seen storage in a video following a certain pattern to develop an easy understanding of it. Now, what if we lose that persistent storage, or if a node disappears because there are some fires happening in data centers? This actually happens, guys, and you will lose everything. This is why people are using Kubernetes for its high availability, the possibility to have clusters spanning across different availability zones thanks to its networking. You need for that to take some snapshots of the cluster state in the cloud. You would use AWS S3 and KMS or AES encryption or even HashiCorp Vault so that you could recover from a certain point. If you have any SLA or SLOs, service level agreement or objectives, this video will be interesting for you. In this video, we will see how to backup and restore our Kubernetes cluster. We're working locally, so we will use the file system. Do not miss a piece, as it is following a certain logic, always in a raw way, in order to see what's going on. We're not living in a dream world where everything works fine. So also, no special effects in here. I've left a link in the bio for the students who want to learn AI by doing, beginner devs who want to think at a service that they could offer, or business owners who want to use AI for themselves. It is free. There is a guide PDF to download on the video. Link is in the pinned comment or video description. Get it now from our hub, Shikara Houses. Also, please like and subscribe. Thank you for your support. Open your terminal. Let's get started. Where is etcd database? So let's check the location. It's in the var lib etcd. There is a member. That's where we're going to find some other folders, snap and wall. The wall folder is like the logs, all the transactions. And there are counterparts in the snap folder, but the database is the DB file that you see here. So this is a very important folder because that is the one which is referenced in the manifests that we're going to see. etc Kubernetes manifests etcd.yaml. So I might actually use the editor just to edit this YAML file. Doesn't work. I need permission. So we are going to use nano. Check etcd manifest, datadir, and the volumes. So we're going to nano into it to check those important parts that I have already commented out. Okay. So in the container comments here you have an option datadir, var lib etcd. So you need to change this directory if the snapshot for restore is in another folder. I mean, if you want to have the manifest to look at another folder, you need to change that. And you need also to change the volumes. Okay, so volume mounts here is also needs to be changed for recovery if you want to just change the folder. But we are just going to use the default folder var lib etcd. You don't need to change it. Your snapshots can live in another folder, but when you're doing your backup and recovery, you can save those in another folder. So the host path, same here, you would need to change it. Just to show you which are the places where you need to update that folder if you want to create a special folder for it. For example, varlib etcd/ and you add your folder. So you just keep it at the default space, but you want to customize it. So in the container, okay, volume mounts, and it says varlib etcd. And same for here, the volumes, the host path. So it's in the file system, etcd Kubernetes. No, not this one. So the next one, varlib etcd, which is the same. So directory or create. So it will create it if it doesn't exist. Let's check etcd pod on the etcd-ctl tool. So from the namespace kube system, etcd controller creditizens.net. Let's exec into this pod from kube system. Okay, so now we are inside of the pod, etcd, and inside of it we have the access to the tool etcd-ctl. You can see here that it's available, and that's the one that we can use to make those snapshots of the cluster state, restores. There's also for the restoration and the status. But be careful, the status, for example, is going to be deprecated. So I'm going to show you later another tool that we're going to use. But here from inside the pod etcd, you get the access to it. You have the options, certification, certificates, and the key, which is here. So that's the options that we will need to make a backup. So important certs and keys. So I just exit the pod to show you where they are. We've seen in one of the earliest videos of this playlist about Kubernetes that they are all in etcd Kubernetes PKI, and inside there is a folder called etcd, and that's the one we're going to use. We're going to use the authority certificate and the server certificates to make those snapshots. So I have different. So here I have a pod running called Nginx Busan. I'm just gonna delete it. That's a deployment. And here I have prepared already those Nginx files. They all have a different message. So the Busan one has a message about the city in Korea, Busan. We get the pods. There's no pods anymore. And now I can show you the YAML file with a config map. Okay, we're enjoying our holidays in Busan. After it's a normal deployment, 2 replicas. Okay, I'm just going to put ing here. A deployment, 2 replicas, and we're just going to be updating the index.html file in order to show that message. So we're going to use different deployments with different messages showing different states of the cluster. We are going to make some backups and see how it goes. Okay, config map here. Here at Busan we can put a capital B. It's a big city, let's respect it. Okay, so now we can deploy this to the cluster. Now we have the config map and the deployment being created. We're going to expose it, so create a service. So I've tried before, so I don't know if the service is still there, but I'm going to show you still the command. Okay, expose, deploy. Okay, it's not there. We're using node port. We get the services, so we get the port given by Kubernetes. Is the upper band, which is given by Kubernetes. And when you set it, you choose the lower band. And here we got the message. So everything works fine for that. That's the state of the cluster at the moment. Create Busan etcd snapshot from inside the etcd pod. So the kubesystem etcd pod, we're going to use the etcd-ctl utility. So we're going to go inside the pod and create a snapshot from that pod. So I showed you before the volumes from the manifest are showing the directory varlib etcd. So from inside the pod, we should be able to access to that. So etcd-ctl, we use the option CA certificate. From the folder etcd, we get the authority CA cert. And for the certificate, we get the server certificate. And for the key, we get the server key. And here we go with the command snapshot save. And here you're gonna decide where you want to save your snapshot. So we are just going to save it here in varlib etcd. But later on, I'll be moving all the snapshots in a special folder so that we can work from there. So Busan Creditizens home.db. Okay. So we got all the certificates, authority 1 on the server, and we create the snapshot. We got here created temporary database file. Open the snapshot stream, downloading. So different steps. This is the IP address of the endpoint of Kubernetes. Okay, 12 MB, and the path has been created. Let's see if we can check it from here directly, being inside the pod. So we have access to varlib etcd, but there's no ls available. So I believe that this pod doesn't have it's a minimal pod. But when I tap cat, I tap Busan, I get the auto completion. So it is there, but the cat command is not available. If I try to change the name, just to see if I have move available, doesn't work. I'm just going to exit. I'm not going to change the name anyway. And we're going to go into the controller node file system and check. Okay, permission denied. You just use a sudo here. And we're just going to be checking on that folder And yes, you see we had the member before and now we have this snapshot. So you can indicate any path to save this snapshot. I just put it here just to make it consistent with what we've seen before. After that, I'm going to move those snapshots somewhere else. I just show you also another way that you can do it from inside the pod without actually going inside of it, staying on your terminal side. So I'm going to just delete it. Okay, so we got rid of it. It's not there anymore. And after I'm going to just reuse this command that we had before. Just let me grab it. But until here. So when you exec into a pod, instead of using sh, you can enter the command directly. So it will be running from inside the pod. Okay, so I'm just going to put all in one line to not get any errors because of my copy and paste. Okay, so we got all the arguments and this is ready to be applied. And we get same confirmation. I'm just going to check and you see it's present. So you can run it also this way. Okay, so we're using here etcd, which is inside the pod, the etcd component from the controller node. So I delete the service, I delete the deployment from the cluster. So we're done with Boostan. Encrypt the snapshot. Just using OpenSSL. I just show you this way that if you wanna, so before moving this file to another storage or server, you might be wanting to encrypt the file because all sensitive data are still available. After there is an internal way in Kubernetes to save the data directly encrypted into the snapshot. So here we just check the documentation of OpenSSL. OpenSSL ENC encrypt. And here you see there is the E for encrypt, D for decrypt. We've seen the protocol before. There is a salt here. Use a salt so we can write any message for the salt. So I'm just using the auto-completion to see it works. Sudo OpenSSL encrypt. And what was the protocol that we used? AES. So we don't have KMS available, but we can use here the AES 256. So if you want to use a salt here, you can use. But we're just going to go salt just to show the command in. And after we're just going to indicate where is the file. So that's our file. And we just want to have the output called the same name, but I'm just going to add at the end just to say that it's encrypted. ENC, just a simulation of encryption. just to show you quickly. After you might need to dig. So after you might need to dig into the documentation. And after you enter your password. So I'm going to enter a very hard password. Again, to confirm. Key derivation used. Okay. There's some deprecation happening. What is better to use? So you got some more information here. And we can check if you have the new file present into the folder. The encrypted one, and after it's up to you to send it wherever you want to. For secure storage of your snapshot. And you can decrypt the snapshot also. The command is almost the same. I'm just writing decoded, just like that, but it's not the way you're going to do it. You're just going to keep DB. So the in and out are different. We use the in, the one encrypted. Here we have the decrypt. Okay, so we still need the ENC. Okay, open SSL ENC. And after use the option D, and this time you just enter the same code and it will be decrypted, and the output file will be the one I call decoded here. Okay, this was just to show you the OpenSSL way, just to simulate an encryption. But if you use a EKS, for example, you would use Amazon S3 with a KMS encryption. Just save it to S3. Or you can use HashiCorp Vault also to do those snapshot safe storage. Here I'm just going to get rid of those two. This is just replaying a bit here. So install etcd and etcd util. So we went inside the pod. Etcd CTL is available, but here going to GitHub and etcd IO repository, you can check the different versions available. Try to match the version of the one that you have in your cluster. So I know that mine is 3.515. I didn't find it directly, but here you can exec as we've seen before, and just check for the version that you have available into the etcd controller pod. And here we just enter etcd version 3.515, 3.5. So when I'm gonna be installing it, I want to install it into my own terminal. So I don't want to be going inside the pod every time to run those commands. I want to have all those tools available in my terminal so I can manage those snapshots from my terminal or from any terminal if I have an SSH connection to this one. Okay, so you can go like that, releases here, and after from here you get a list of all those, you can download it directly, but we're going to use our terminal to just get it downloaded. And here you see when you use compare, here you get a list of different ones. It goes down to 3.17. So here I use 3.515, not 17. So I'm just going to use it directly in the command in my terminal. So just navigate through this repository, find your version and download it, unpack it, and save the binary in the right path. So you see 3.515, that's what you need to change in this command with your own version. So here we're gonna just do another exec. So that's the same version, okay? Just to make it clear. After here, we get our file. We're just gonna be extracting this binary, but there will be more than one binary available. There will be etcd-ctl, so we can get rid of this file, as now we have unzipped the file. There will be etcd-util also, utl, and the etcd binary. So there is 3 binaries coming with this installation. In this video, we will be using etcd-ctl to make the snapshots, and we will be using etcd-utl to restore those snapshots. You can use also etcd-ctl, but I feel like they're deprecating features, because we've seen in the terminal it says status will be deprecated. So to check the status of the snapshots. So the database, the etcd database, check the status. So we might need to use etcd-util, because it's made for that, to manage those snapshots. So I just move those to the user local bin. So as you can see, we have access to those, and the util, that's the one you haven't seen yet. And we're gonna move the last one, the etcd one also. That's what I got. Create Busan etcd snapshot, but this time from outside, using the binary that I just installed. At this time, you need to use this environment variable etcd-ctl_API equal to 3, because the version of etcd-ctl is 3 point something, so you use the number 3 basically. You need also to use the endpoint that we've seen before as the Kubernetes endpoint, and we're using the same certificates on the same command, snapshot save. Okay. That's how the command goes. Just I have copied and pasted, but we can construct it together. Endpoints HTTPS 1.27, 127.001, 2379, the cassert from the etcd folder, cassert, we get it, that's the authority certificate, the certificate, the server certificate, and the key, the server key. Okay, etcd server key. All after the same here, snapshot save. So because I've created the Busan snapshot already, here I'm just going to call it, give it a name, corresponding to what we have at the moment, because I have deleted the Busan deployment, so there's nothing in the cluster. So empty Creditizens cluster example DB, just to show you that it has been created successfully. So you can do it this way, and that's the way we're going to be using it. And you see it's present in the folder next to the other snapshot. So because this one we're not going to use it, I might be deleting this empty Creditizens cluster snapshot later on. But etcd util, we can just look at this one here, and you see the different options. We can stop on it a little bit, and here manages etcd node snapshots, so we're going to be using this one. And after that, so when you use etcd util snapshots, you will have more options. Let's use the help function here, option, just to see. And you see here, we'll be able to have access to the restores an etcd member snapshot to an etcd directory. And the status is available here, and it will be deprecated in the etcd-ctl side. Okay, so the encrypt, I just checked if the encrypt exists, but doesn't exist with etcd util. So you might be able to encrypt with the etcd-ctl instead of using OpenSSL. So what we're going to do now, we're going to just apply to the cluster a new state. This is the state where Creditizens is in not in Korea anymore, is in Guam, which is the United States. And we're going to expose this deployment the same way, just to be able to get that message and see if it works fine. So before that, I just need to fix the message. That's why I deleted that. I'm going to put Guam with a capital G. Hawaii, it's okay for Hawaii. So now you know the different locations of Creditizens houses around the world. Tokyo for sure, and after we have Guam, Hawaii, and Busan. So here we're going to be exposing the deployment. We target the port 80 and we use not port for the type. And Kubernetes gave us this port 37,788. Let's go and see if everything works fine. Yes. So we are good for that. Didn't fix the enjoy stuff, but it's okay. So the message has been displayed. And now we can use the same command from outside. We don't need to go to the etcd pod, so we don't need to touch to any of the controller pods. We just go here and we do our command from our terminal, authenticating using those certificates to create the snapshot of the state of the cluster being in Guam at the moment. So to get those numbers, 127.0.0.0.23.79. I just tap etcd because I have the binary, and here I can see it. So now we can create the Guam snapshot. I just copy it from the output up there. The endpoints, we have just one endpoint, is done. So if you go through the etcd documentation, you will see some more advanced comments. If you want to manage a cluster of etcd databases from different endpoints locations. And after we use same as we've done before, we use the authority certificate, the server certificate, and the key. And after that, we are going to save this snapshot. Snapshot save. We give it a name, a path directly. We say where it will be located, but I'll be moving those to another folder later on because we will need to work on the valid etcd, which needs to be empty in the second part of the video for the restorations. Guam Creditizens house.db. So you just go .db for all of your snapshots. Okay, the message looks positive. I'm just going to delete the service of Guam and delete the deployment. And we're going to be doing the same for Hawaii. So we're trying to create several different states, so several different snapshots of those states of the cluster, so that we can work on those restoration and understand more how it works. Okay, we expose it, we follow the same process, we check if it works fine, if the state, everything works fine. Okay, we're in Hawaii now. Create Hawaii etcd snapshot. So I'm just gonna go up in the commands, I find it, and I just change the name. Hawaii. That's it. The key, the etcd ctl API equal to 3 environment variable have been passed to the command the same way. I can delete the service and I can delete the deployment. Check backup snapshots. So now all those backups that you have created, they are just single snapshots. They're here. We can get rid of the empty Creditizens cluster. Example, there's no pods anymore in the cluster, just to show you the state of the cluster before any restoration. And no more service. This is just the Kubernetes service running, but we don't have any of the service. So I have moved all those backups, snapshots, in a dedicated folder called snapshots, and we will be restoring state from that target folder, selecting the files inside that folder, which are the snapshots, and getting our desired state corresponding to the right file. Please like and subscribe during the break. Cluster state restore. We get the nodes, everything works fine. You can check all the pods in the cluster. Nothing deployed. So that's the state of the cluster at the moment. So there are different steps to follow here. So we're going to just take our time for the first restoration to go through every single step. And for the next restorations that we're going to do, I'm not going to be stopping on every single step. I'm just going to be doing those. So one, we stop kubelet. After stopping kubelet, we stop controller components, which are the scheduler, controller manager, API server, and etcd. We empty the folder, the valib etcd. That's why I have moved already those snapshots somewhere else. There should be only the member inside this one, and we're going to get rid of it because a new member will be created when we're going to be restoring the snapshot. So after we make the restoration of this cluster state, and if there's two members trying to be inside the valib etcd, there will be an error and the snapshot won't be created. That's why we need to get rid of the snapshot already present. You can make a backup of it somewhere else, but it needs to be not in the etcd folder. And after we restart the controller components, or we just make those ready for restart, we're going to just move those out of the manifest folder, which is going to stop those components from the controller. The controller will be non-available, not ready anymore. So after that, we're just going to be bringing them back, and that's how we're going to restart those controller components. And after on 6, we restart kubelet, and 7, we need to wait. We need to wait for kubelet to pick up on all those changes, to reconnect everything. Also for those controller components to wake up again, back to life. And after we check if the state of the cluster is as we want it to be. So let's go now, we're going to stop kubelet. So I put a little title for every single steps, but after that I'm not going to be doing that. Okay, we can check on the status just to make sure it's dead. Yes, it says inactive. Move controllers components manifest to stop those. So I've created a folder where I'm going to be receiving all those manifest files. So here I'm in the kubeadm updating cluster /backup restore, and inside I have a manifest folder. So I'm going to go in etcd Kubernetes manifests. I get all the YAML files, and I'm going to move those so I didn't make the directory. Let's make the directory manifest back, just call it like that, and we take the command again, and we're going to move those in this manifest back. Okay, so now we are in our current folder. All of those are in our current folder in the manifest back folder. And in the etcd Kubernetes manifests, there is nothing. So it's just this .kubelet keep, but this is okay. All the manifests have been moved, so the components of the control node are not there anymore. Later on, I'll be showing you what's happened to the workload, which is already running, all the pods running in the cluster. Let's say you have an application running. but we're going to see it later on. Here we just see that the state has changed to not ready for the controller node. That's what we want, but the pods are still running. Okay, let's empty the etcd. So there might be a delay before everything stops, because I could get all those pods. Normally I shouldn't be able to get those. Okay, and now we see it's empty. So I got rid of the member from valib etcd. That's one of the steps. We're going forward. And now check snapshots, bump version, revisions. So we're going to check the bump revisions. There is a command for that to check the status. So for that we need to use etcd utl. So you use same because we're using it from outside. etcd ctl underscore API equal to 3, etcd utl status, and we check each snapshot. So here there is a typo. etcd utl. etcd utl. Where is... I need the keyword before status. So as I told you, I have a snapshot folder. I put everything in, but it's etcd util snapshot status, and after you give the path. And this is the revision number, 615,876. So for each of those, they have a revision number. And we need to increase that revision number. It has to be incremental. So explore or restorator utility options. So we can go through the options. We've seen it a little bit before. So etcd util snapshot h, and that's when we're going to use the restore command. Status you've seen already here. We could use status to see the revision number. So to not get any error, you need to check those revision numbers. So we're going to use the option here to check those revision numbers. We check it so that for this option we can give a uint which is much bigger than those numbers. We're going to use mark compacted, mark the latest revision after restore as the point of schedule compaction. Restore snapshot, we're going to restore it, increasing the bump revision is very important, because if you don't do that, you're going to get some troubles. Because Kubernetes is expecting this number to always increase. So you're going to have some components looking at cached data. So you need to use the options to compact that, so that scheduler and all other controller components will be looking at that revision number as the latest one and using the state that you want. So here we indicate the snapshot that we want to restore. So snapshot busan, the data dir, which is valib etcd. So that's where the manifest file is listening, is having his volumes also directed to. So we use the same. If you had another folder, custom one that you wanted to set, you set it there. So here in data dir, you need to match with your manifest file. That's what we've seen at the beginning of the video. The bump revision here, I use 2 million, just to make sure I'm above it. And after mark compacted. So I'm following just the etcd documentation, what they're suggesting us to do, to not get any troubles. Okay, so here we got the confirmation for Busan. That's the same latest revision number, and that's the new pump amount, which is 2 million that we have just created. Snapshot restored, and now we're going to be just checking on the folder var lib etcd, which was provided in the data dir option. We have a new member created. Inside the new member, we see the snap on the DB. It's our Busan Creditizens home. Manifest back to the right place. So we're going to move our manifests in order to have this controller components back to life. Okay, manifest back. I'm moving everything to etcd manifests. That's where they live. That's where Kubernetes can see those. This one just back etcd. I done that just to my tests. So I'm just going to be bringing it back to etcd YAML. Otherwise, we'll get some trouble. So make sure everything is back to the etcd Kubernetes manifests folder with the original names. Seeing those examples, you know that you have to do that. etcd YAML. Restart Kubernetes now. Are you ready? You have your member, the new one, corresponding to the Busan snapshot. You have those. So the status here is still inactive. I'm going to activate it. But you have the components with the YAML file, which are back into the manifest. And now you're going to be restarting Kubernetes. When Kubernetes restarts, it's going to be checking all of those. And after, you need to wait all. So we're going to wait all together. I'm not going to fast forward any part here. Maybe the logs, I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. We get the nodes. You see, I don't get any response yet. And I just wait. So here I'm just checking the logs. I'll be checking it with you. But after I might fast forward the logs part. So we're checking on kubelet logs. Just get the 15 lines, the latest ones. Controller node successfully registered. I just stop here my fast forwarding to show you the message in the log. It's very hard to find, but successfully registered node controller creditizens.net, going well. We wait a little bit more. It's going to be just starting slowly. You see here, we see controller still not ready, even if we got the message in kubelet. We need all the components to be ready to get the node itself ready. Try to get the pods. So as it's not ready, I won't probably get the pods. Let's fast forward this. So at this time, you just need to wait. Ready. Now it's ready. So there'll be some downtime for the controller node. That's what I want you to understand. When you're doing those restorations of etcd, you're going to get some downtime. If you have 5 or 3 controller nodes, you need all of those to be down. So you need to do all the steps that we've done now but the restoration, you're going to do it just in one node. And after, you're going to copy that file, that member, in the other nodes before restarting kubelet on the components on kubelet in the other nodes. So we wait a little bit more for all pods just to be in a running state and ready 101. Okay, so we got the control plane ready, but not all the pods are running yet. So we need to wait a little bit more. We can check again. Okay, everything is running. We just have a Calico here in the control node, which is almost there. We have 0 out of 1. Just wait until it validates the readiness. We're almost there. You can see the Busan pods are already running, but Calico is handling the networking, and we need that service to check. And what is interesting here is that Nginx Busan is running means that the config map also is running. Because I had a config map with it. Linked has a volume, so if it wasn't there, there would be an error. And this can happen to you. So at this time you need to create the resource. If you have secrets, for example, a config map, you might need to create those. So we check the container. You can use Creditizens for that. It's like your Docker container, Docker PSA. But here I'm using containerd. I don't use Docker. I try to use containerd because Docker is not anymore the main container runtime. Containerd is the main one for Kubernetes. And we see here Calico node 8v4pl. So we're waiting on that one. Okay, we just wait. It's gonna be okay. Check cluster state again. Should be fine now. Yes. Now we got it running. Okay, so we got our cluster back. But what about the pods? The pods are running. What about the service we had created? The service is there. What is interesting is that the pods, they have the same name as before. I mean the ID at the end. That's all. The only thing that I found a bit weird, but it's okay. I'm happy with that if it works. So I'm just gonna be trying to get that message and see if you get the same message or if you get any message, because it can show here that everything is fine. You go into your internet browser and you don't find anything working. And after you need to troubleshoot. Validate new state. Let's see if the state is back to Busan. That's where I want to be. So let's see if Busan is accepting us. We open another tab. So my computer is lagging a bit. So when I'm typing, it takes time to effectively show what I typed. Okay, I just pressed enter now. I have to wait a few seconds. You see, as Firefox just woke up when I've already typed everything on the top. Let's be patient. We can see the cross now. It's buffering on the tab. Looks like something that is not going to work. But I believe that it's going to be okay, because we have followed all the steps very thoroughly. Yes, we're enjoying our holidays in Busan. That's fine. We can go back. Yes, you see I have two open. It's even worse for my little computer. Okay, so we're good with that. Restore another state. So now, let's see if we can update by restoring my house in Guam. etcd state. Okay, let's see. Here we're going to go more into the details of what's going on with the workload, which is already running. Workload running is telling us what? It's telling us Busan, right? And we're going to see what's going to happen when we're going to stop the controller components. So now you know the steps. I just stopped kubelet. I'm going to do the same here, move the manifest files, all of the YAML files, where to the folder that I've created. Okay, so now they moved, means that the controller very soon is going to understand that he's dead. Okay, this is empty, just to validate it. After, we need to get rid of what is called the member in the varlib etcd folder. Okay, we got rid of it. Let's check. Okay. So when I'm typing the commands, it's a bit slow, but it's okay. We're just gonna be doing the video to the end like that. It's gonna be fine. Okay, get nodes. I can't get the nodes. Restore controller down. Let's SSH to node 2. Let's try to get this one here. I'm just gonna get the URL and try to curl it from another node, and you see we have access to the service. So this is very important to know. Controller nodes are gonna be down, but the running pods are gonna be fine. Okay, so here we can see that the workload is still running fine. Only the controller node is in a state not ready. So if you have scheduled pod in your controller node, you will get some trouble. Otherwise, by default, the pods are scheduled in the worker nodes. And at this time, That's why it's better to use just replica sets or deployment, which is implementing replica sets. So if there's any trouble with pods, they're going to be recreated somewhere else. But here we have stopped the controller nodes, so the replica are not available also. So you can't do scaling. You can't create new pods. So what is running is running. You get a downtime on the controller nodes, and that's the time of restoration. It's a very risky moment. Very important to understand that. If there's any failure in the cluster, you can't do anything until you're done. Okay? So as we move the manifest files, all components of controller nodes are off, but pods runs normally. We just can't create new pods or auto-scale. And if having more than one controller, you need to stop all kubelets and all manifests need to be moved in order to stop the components running on the controller nodes. Okay? So that no other controller component have access to some stale data cached or record logs, which is going to be creating trouble when you're going to be restoring your snapshot, because your snapshot is going to say this, while the cached data or the record logs that those components have access to will be saying something else. And this is very hard to troubleshoot. That's why we're compacting everything to the bump revision that we incrementally entering. So we're trying to use big numbers in order to make sure that there's no risks of having the cached data or any logs or any transaction that those components that can have access to. That's why we're using those options in the restoration. Okay? And it is when we are going to restart kubelet that it will pick up the new member folder, which is present in the folder valib etcd member. So the member from the controller node where you are doing the etcd restore needs to be copied in the other controller node, as I told you, in the valib etcd folder before restarting kubelet in the other controller nodes. Wakatta means do you understand in Japanese. Okay, so we are still in the node 2. Let's exit this node. We are done with the terminal talk. Let's clear this page. So we have stopped kubelets. We have moved the etcd file and got rid of the member. So we follow those steps. Okay, there's no member, there's no manifest, so now we're good. Sudo etcd utl, so we're using the other binary that we have, etcd util snapshot restore. We give the path of the snapshot that we want to restore. Snapshot Guam Creditizens, because we want to be in Guam this time. The data dir, same as in the manifest etcd.yaml. Valib etcd, that's where the cluster is listening to, in order to find this etcd database. Etcd snapshot restore. Just use the H here. No. Okay, maybe like that. Maybe like that. Yes, without any typo it works. Just copy this so that you can see the options on the top while I'm entering those. And same for me, so I can see those also while I'm doing that. So we don't need to run into errors. We can do it in a safe way like that. Just gonna copy it, bump revision. We used how many? 2 million before. So here let's go for 3 million. Okay, so you can't press enter directly. Just going to use all in one sentence. We're going to use the last option, which is the mark compacted, very important one. Mark the latest revision after restore has the point of scheduled compaction. That's what we want. Snapshot restore require one argument. So I'll just wait before pressing enter. It's okay. So it works. I hope so. But here the messages are the same as the ones we've seen before. Added the member without any issues. Restored the snapshot. So that's what it says here, but you need to verify it. Doesn't mean there's no errors. And after that, we go the other way around. We got the member back into valid etcd. We're gonna move those manifest files back to the etcd manifest. Yes, they're all in. After, we just need to restart Kubernetes. Okay. Should be restarted. Now, let's, as usual, wait a bit and see. So we're gonna wait a little bit. We know it takes at least 1 minute. So to grep success, not ready, control plane still. So I might need to fast forward the journaling time, because I'm going to be checking on the journal. The pods. Oh, you see now it's a bit quicker than before, because now I can get the pods. That means the controller is in a ready state. I didn't need to fast forward anything. We just wait for some of the components to wake up. They're still at 0. Okay, 0 at 1. That's better. I feel like my cluster now understands what I want to do. So it's still in the not ready state. Okay. So maybe you can use the comment section to explain me why I can get the pods, but the controller is not ready. Okay, now it's ready. Maybe there is a delay in the state, the way the command gets the state of the cluster. because it might get it from something written somewhere. So we wait a little bit more. It's almost there. We just wait for new state. You can see the node, the pods are called Guam. At least this looks great. We got a crash loop back off on the kube controller manager. We just wait. It's gonna heal itself. Let it heal itself and check the state. So I need to be in Guam now. So hurry up, cluster. Yes, we got everything running. So what is good is that we had created at that moment not only the pods, but also the service. We can see the service here is still available. So it has kept the state the same way. I think the port is the same. Don't remember, maybe you remember. So let's put here. Yeah, enjoy our holidays in Guam. We are enjoying normally, but it's okay. We enjoy our holiday in Guam. So we're good with that. We are back to Guam. But are we gonna stay in Guam? Let's go to Hawaii house. I like volcanoes, so Hawaii is a hot point, and that's where we're gonna go. So now you should be able to make this snapshot very easily without any confusions, understanding what's the steps you need to follow, what's the process involved. So let's do that. We stop kubelet, move the YAML files, we delete the member. So here we're doing everything, we're not checking back what we've done before. If it is empty folders or not, we just keep going. Okay. So now, maybe I can just reuse the same command. Let me find it somewhere. Up there. Yes, that's the one. We just need to change the revision number after, but I'm just gonna here get the right file, which is the Hawaii. We got it in an auto-completion fashion. And here, let's go to the bump revision and go like 4 million. Just move by millions. We put the snapshot. We just apply it. I think my cluster now is good at restoring. We restart kubelet. Let's SSH to node 1 just to see what message we get. This was here. We see if we get Guam this time while the cluster is coming back to life. Yes, you see, we still get Guam. So this validates that the running pods are not affected by this cluster restoration. Okay, we go on Google. So I'll go in another page. And let's go back to it to see. That's the one. And yes, you see we can, those pods are still running. So the cluster is not yet back to Hawaii, but you can see. So the workload present is not affected, but controller. So the controller node experience downtime. So this needs to be considered very carefully. That's why you need to see if you're using a blue-green way of blue-green or having a warm infrastructure present. Let me go back here in all the comments that we've done. But I'm in the node 1, so I need to exit node 1. So it takes at least 1 minute or something like that. I'm just going to fast forward here the log checking part. And we're going to stop here a bit and check. Let's get the nodes. And I got a problem. Did you specify the right host port? So I can't access to using the kubectl command. I can check what's the status of kubelet. Kubelet is running. Okay, so in the logs there are some issues. So I did something wrong. So if I can't identify fixing the issue, and after we finish the restoration of the Hawaii. So let's restart containerd. That's what I have tried. I tried also to restart kubelet. Sometimes just doing that is going to be just fixing all the issues. But the issue is not from containerd. Is not from kubelet. Those are fine. Let's check the logs of kubelet. What does it say? Okay. Connection refused, failed, eviction, and so on. Okay, get nodes, can't get the nodes. So what happened? Let's check the components of the controller, the manifest, and you see it's empty. There's no manifests. So for sure it's not going to work. The controller is still dead. So I'm going to stop kubelet that I have restarted. So I'm just gonna restart the whole process. Because when I moved those YAML files, they didn't get back to the original place, which is the manifest folder. So let's get rid of the member. Manifest back, you see everything is still here. That means that I haven't put them back there, so that's why it's not working. So I'm just going to redo everything very quick. The commands, shall I tap it again or should I just get the command back? So restore, it's very easy command. Hawaii Creditizens house. After you have the data dir, which is varlib etcd, and after we have the two options, which is the bump revision, no S, 4 million, and after we have the mark compaction, we have the mark compacted, Now let's do that move of those files, all of those, back to etcd Kubernetes manifest. There might be something wrong with the command that I have typed before. I didn't check. Now let's check. Yes, they're back in, so it should be okay. So now we can restart Kubelet. So should be okay. As before, we omitted to move back the manifest files. For sure it's not going to work if you do that. We get the node. It's been pretty quick. Node is ready after less than 30 seconds. As I told you, the cluster should now understand what I want. The member is present. We haven't checked that. So it should be okay now. Will it be okay? The pods are back to life. You see how quick it is? Nginx Hawaii. We got the port available, 31,842. And now we need to do a little check. We are in Guam. And now let's put this in. Yes, in Hawaii. Okay. So after that, you'll be an expert of backup and restore. If we go in another node, let's go in node 2, for example. We curl this port and we get the Hawaii message. Amazing. Same in node 1. For sure, without any typo, at localhost. And now we're good. All right. And now it's time to tear down everything. And we get rid of this deployment on the service. Okay, the cluster is back. We have seen the different steps in how to make backup and restore those etcd states. We have touched at the OpenSSL solution to encrypt the snapshot file, but you could use also a system to save encrypted data directly into an etcd. You need to dig more into the documentation for that. It is a very important aspect to practice, as this is crucial part of disaster recovery strategies. As you know now that you can get back to a certain state as soon as you have the snapshot ready. Obviously, as a site reliability engineer, you would run some recovery time to time to make sure you are ready in case of emergency. Blue, green or warm infrastructure ready for that? Many depends on the budget. It is not free actually. Okay, let's stop here. Hope that you liked this video. Please like and subscribe and see you next time.